Recorded live at Talks and Tasting Studios, it's the Clerical Errors Podcast, the podcast that shows you what's behind the collar. Let's go.
From the Talks and Tasting Studios, this is the Clerical Errors Podcast, the podcast that shows you
what's behind the collar.
This is Bullhagen.
This is Berg.
This is Baldwin.
He's joined us, finally.
The OBs.
In studio, 15.0.
That's right.
Wow.
See if I've learned anything, if I've changed anything. I sure hope so, right?
Yeah, so how's it going?
Oh, good. Just out here for, again, my brother's getting married up in Mankato, so excited summer road trip.
All right. And by the way, Vicar will be here. He's finishing something up here and joining us, and this is his last farewell episode.
Feel kind of bad crashing it, you know?
That's all right.
It'll make him look all the better. Be like, wow, Vicars have improved a long way since 15, you know? Done some updates.
Right. Yeah. Well, we're planning on playing something from maybe showing him how you still got a call.
That's right. There is hope. Maybe not for the congregations, but you know.
Yeah. It's been a while since you gave us a Western update.
Yeah. I lost my vibes. I don't know. I need to get back into that. Any tips? Any tips for that, guys?
To
get your podcast. You know, how do you get in the zone?
Fake it till you make it.
Fake it.
Have you heard of Arcola whiskey?
Arcola whiskey. Okay, I have. That's good stuff.
That
So
it is.
you did bring a bag. What did you bring in your bag?
Oh, various and sundry items.
Oh.
A little bit of a throwback to the what did we call it when we had the beverages?
What are you sipping on?
What are you sipping on?
There you go. Well, I tried to bring something kind of with a Western theme, but that wouldn't, have any wheat or anything. We've got a High Noon for you.
Oh, pineapple. Well, thank you.
I hope that doesn't set off anything,
Well, if I throw up, the studio has a very luxurious restroom, so we should be fine.
And then I brought myself a 307 lager from Blacktooth Brewing, and I think it's Sheridan, Wyoming, so,
So why is it 307?
That is the area code for Wyoming. We only have one because we've only got like 500,000 people in the whole state.
You probably don't even, you probably have like other area codes mad because you have all these lines not using it.
Yeah, the telemarketers love us because we've got all the open ones,
So this is strange. Like when you were a vicar, you had your supervisor bearing down on you, right? And now you have your circuit visitor.
Ooh, that's true.
You don't want to offend.
Right,
you can never escape. It's like Melville says, we're all slaves.
Exactly. Or there's what is it? Somebody's Watching Me, that tune that
you always feel like
that's it.
Somebody's watching me
when I'm speaking heresy. Oh,
there we go.
Yeah.
Those good old tunes.
So give us an update.
Well, let's see. Since I was here at 15-0, we've had 2 more kids, 2 more boys. So we got 4 young guys running around the parsonage. It's a good time.
Nice.
Getting in the fun, different parts of being a pastor, getting on committees and LWML counseling and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That sounds like the Wyoming district is kind of like a small congregation where you have like a person who's elder, the head trustee, and the head usher and the acolyte.
Yep. You laugh, but up until last year, my head elder was also my acolyte because we didn't have anybody. Yeah.
There you go.
But it is kind of that. Yeah. If you're out there and you're willing, you can, the opportunities are boundless, wide open, right, Berg? Wide open spaces.
Wide open spaces. Room to make your big mistakes.
So is that a pretty drives from Rollins to Lander?
Yeah.
Yeah, what the first bit's pretty dull. You go past Jeffrey City, which is like the middle of nowhere. It was going to be uranium mining, but then that all tanked out.
Oh.
But once you get
that'd
closer,
be the bomb.
Well, yeah, I think it's kind of boring until you get to like Muddy Gap. Then when you turn, on 287.
How far is Muddy Gap from Grassy Butte?
Far enough.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have clear water. Mud is, we're happy with any sort of moisture out there in the desert, you know?
That's right. It's about
So what?
half an hour from Independence Rock.
Right? Big rock, middle of nowhere.
Is there a elevation climb from Rollins to Lander?
Actually, probably go downhill, I suppose, right? Rollins is about 6,900 feet.
Okay, yeah, yep. We're at like 5,100. So
Yeah, and what are we in Hampton? Like 12?
So it's amazing. With
12
the rain,
feet, yeah. Ha.
my boys thought there was going to be a flood because there was more than like, a dozen raindrops on the windshield. They were thinking that, this is biblical proportions. And it was like, no, this is just Tuesday in Iowa. And the green, they don't know what to make of that,
Oh, yeah, the green.
Things aren't dead in end of July. So
Yeah, we were joking about this when I was in Rollins. I mentioned the deer kind of looks like they have a meth problem there.
Well, we're trying to get help for them.
The only thing that's missing is their backpacks or something.
Their teeth.
So good times.
Yes.
So what is your favorite memory about was that your 6 years ago now?
Yeah. Well, right.
Do you think we'd still have a podcast?
It's just growing. This is awesome to see. Yeah. Boy, favorite memory since then. Getting to baptize my two boys.
That's
Like,
nice.
That's one of the coolest things when going from vicar to pastor. Like being able to and of course my son who was born out there was the first one I baptized, dumped water right into his eyes. I got a little excited. Thankfully he was a good sport. No one screamed. And I learned, got a little better with that. So practicing on my own.
Nice.
That's awesome. Getting to baptize I've got to baptize a bunch of babies, even an adult. And it's so awesome getting to see people come into the kingdom of God and getting to be the instrument that God's using for that. It's awesome.
Nice. All right. I guess we should talk about the text. All right. The text is, can you read it? I can't see it very well. I'm old. Has the studio changed at all?
Yeah, actually. I mean, this is, that we have a studio.
Well, that's new right there. That's new.
Oh, yeah. You've got an award with the seminary thing on it.
Yeah.
That's legit. All right. So here we are. Let's see.
Do you know how that happened? They said, oh, you had Baldwin as a vicar. We need to give you an award.
That's right. We said we were sending an easy one. We lied. But here we are. So let's see. This is Trinity 7 coming up?
Something
Yes.
like that, yeah.
Yeah, so Trinity 7-ish. It's Mark 8, 1 through 9. All right, here we go. In those days, when again a great crowd had gathered, and they had nothing to eat, he called his disciples to him and said to them, I have compassion on the crowd, because they have been with me now 3 days and have nothing to eat. And if I send them away hungry to their homes, they will faint on the way. And some of them have come from far away. And his disciples answered him, How can one feed these people with bread here in this desolate place? And he asked them, How many loaves do you have? They said, 7. And he directed the crowd to sit down on the ground. And he took the 7 loaves, and having given thanks, he broke them and gave them to his disciples to set before the people. And they set them before the crowd. And they had a few small fish. And having blessed them, he said that these also should be set before them. And they ate and were satisfied. And they took up the broken pieces left over, 7 baskets full. And there were about 4,000 people, and he sent them away.
So, a feeding miracle. What I like about this one is the fact that they are following Jesus for 3 days without any food. I mean,
Yeah,
you
come on,
you preach,
congregations. An
That's
hour
right.
is too much for you?
right? You preached a 30-minute sermon, and people's stomachs start to rumble.
Right? And you got to beat the Baptists to the buffet. I mean, that's the whole point, right?
I mean,
That's
they're like Pooh Bear. I've got rumblies in my tumblies.
And so, yeah, to me, and I think Vicar is actually preaching kind of on this in his sermon about how, as a Christian, sometimes you're led out into the wilderness,
Mm,
and
that's a good
but
point.
you are not left alone. So you can think of all sorts of other times where God's people were kind of led out into the wilderness and how God sustained them.
Like Baldwin told Rollins.
Yes. Yes, we've been driving for miles and miles. But we've had plenty to eat, you know. They had trail mix back then. I don't know if we'd have miracles, but, you know, here we are.
You got any thoughts, Berg? You're eating. It must have made you hungry while we were talking about this.
Well, you know, this shows that God also cares about the body. He cares about people fainting on the way. He has compassion. So that means that the second person of the Trinity feels this in his guts. That's what compassion means there.
Mm-hmm.
That it's a visceral reaction to a visceral need that has a visceral solution.
Nice.
So, you know,
Yeah.
I wanted to say that.
Those are big words.
Yes.
Just take them out to butcher some chickens or something.
There you go.
Say, this is the viscera.
Right.
Well, I like
It's the
with
rumblies and your tumblies that you
the
have.
rum-
That's
Right.
the viscera.
Actually, as I get older, you wind up having a little more visceral fat as well.
Not
I was
you.
thinking
Come
rumblies
on.
in the
Don't lie.
tumblies would work really well for a children's translation of this. So Berg, you should get on that after the Elector Bible, the children's Elector Bible.
That's right. We can do that.
I was thinking too on this text because I wrote a sermon for my elder to preach since I'll be gone. But the idea, some of the translations render it, you know, his disciples ask, how can one satisfy these people with bread? And thinking back to the Beatitudes, right, about hungering and thirsting for righteousness, and they will be satisfied. And that doesn't mean that, you know, well, Jesus will take care of the spiritual stuff, but when it comes to your bodies, you're on your own. Like Jesus is there preaching, teaching for days, but he's not like, oh man, I didn't realize these guys are hungry. Whoops. I mean, he knows the whole time what the needs of his people are, both of their body and their soul, right? To kind of, you know, go back to the catechism or you know, Berg's favorite hymn, you know, seek ye first the kingdom of God, right?
Well, actually Matthew too.
Yeah, right. In the Sermon on the Mount.
Yeah.
Just, you know, I just mixing all of my things, you know, put it in a blender, see what comes out. That's my preaching.
I apologize because what did I tell you yesterday? In my heart, it sometimes is a struggle. Once a vicar,
Always a vicar. This is true. This is true.
so
It'll be good. You know, I'm hoping my people get that point that, you know, when Jesus satisfies the needs of the body, he satisfies the soul and the body as well, right?
right. And actually, the passage that you mentioned is about worry.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, yeah, right.
Yeah, because the people don't seem to be worried
No,
about it.
which is amazing, right? That people hadn't started to trickle away, you know, thinking, well, we've been here for a little while. It doesn't look like they planned this event very well. You know, I don't see any food trucks. I don't see any, you know.
It's kind of like you know, driving by Rollins on the highway. What happens if you miss Rollins and you don't grab a bite to eat?
Right, you're in trouble.
How long before you can get some food?
What is it, about 40, 50 miles down the interstate till you get to the next place?
Yeah.
Yeah. You will faint on the way from lack
What
of
is that?
Snickers.
You know, Green River.
Wamsutter, baby.
Ooh.
The big oil boom town. It has 2 truck stops. No, 3 now. Moving up.
Holy buckets.
Right.
Nice.
That's how we roll.
On the interstate. Yeah.
What's the strangest town name? Because that's got to be a contender, right?
Oh, sure.
I like Chugwater.
Chugwater's good. Yeah.
I've actually, believe it or not, I've stayed at a KOA in Chugwater.
No kidding. What brought you to? Were you there for the chili? Because that's like their thing, right?
You want
Chugwater
to
chili.
know the story? I
Let's
will tell you a story
shoot.
from my past. Okay. So we were headed to the National Youth Gathering in Denver. We drove in mobile homes.
Uh-huh.
And the last stop before we went to Denver was at a KOA because we would take the 2 motorhomes. We'd all pile in, no seatbelts, right?
Right.
And then the girls would sleep in the RVs, and then the boys would sleep in tents.
Oh, okay.
Right. So
That's so sexist.
I know, right? So we stayed at the KOA in Chugwater before we made it into Denver, the youth gathering.
Nice. Did you have the chili? Did you
yeah.
have the chili?
There's chili there?
That's their thing, man. Chugwater chili. It's
Really? I
What are you
remember
doing
that
with
we
your life?
climbed. So me and a girl, Tamara, holler out if you're listening, Tamara.
Okay.
There was like, what we would consider in Fort Wayne, coming from Fort Wayne as a mountain.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
So we were going to climb with all the sagebrush, and they told us to watch out for rattlesnakes and that kind of thing. So we actually climbed this, and we built a cross on the rocks on the top of it.
And that is pious.
And then we came back down. So shout out to Tamara if you're listening. That was in Chugwater. I remember that. By the way, we brought you some powdered kale.
Excellent. Boy, yum. We got some dried kale chips in these snack boxes my wife signed up for. They were pretty rough. They're like teriyaki kale. It did not go well.
Yeah, we were talking about your year here and all that went on. And it was hard to imagine that was all in just 1 year.
Yeah. It was an eventful year, for sure.
Oh. Well, I think we've talked enough about this text.
I think so.
Vicar will be joining us here pretty soon. Anything you guys want to talk about? I just didn't have much planned because I had you in studio.
Oh, man.
Berg here. Any tea on what the Winkles are like there? Like, what was it like?
Oh, sure. Well,
Yeah, give us a review.
when I first, you get your call and you have to call your circuit visitor right away. So I called the previous one. One of the first things he let me know is out in our circuit, when we get together, we try to go shooting,
Oh,
especially from Rollins, because Rollins has an excellent indoor shooting range. Do you know where Rollins' indoor shooting range is located?
the prison?
Good guess. They have their own, actually.
Okay.
Berg?
Is this the one outside of town, or?
No. The indoor one.
No,
in
I've
the,
never been
rec
to
center.
Yeah,
So
we've never been there.
yeah, because it's closed every time, right? Yeah.
Hmm.
Someone.
Is
So
that where you clang and bang?
you can clang and bang, or the best part, when I went the first time, it's right down the street from the is it the middle school, right? So kids are getting, out of school, heading for their after school programs, and here I am with like 2 duffel bags full of pistols and ammunition. I know in some parts of the country that would make people rather nervous, but in, Rollins, Wyoming, that's just another day,
Right.
So
Well, they might think you're a pedophile if you didn't have guns and you were hanging
Right.
around there.
I mean, I've been told the average is 14 guns per household, so you got to keep up. You got to keep up.
Well, you know me. I've always reserved the right to bear arms.
That's right. The guns, yeah. But the other
So tell
fun
them
thing
about tell them about our Winkles.
so the fun part is fun. We only meet 5 times a year because we're pretty spread out in that neck of the woods. So we end up doing overnight Winkles. So we get there and we start noon one day, and then we, discuss the text and the confessions and, whatever else we're working on. And then we, spend the night. So we get to do a lot of social activities. We all go out to dinner together.
Pillow fight? Slumber party?
Absolutely.
Especially when we go to Lander. Berg's house is always the best for these things. He even has a pool. So, pool party for our Winkle.
Hey! 21.0. His last episode, he has entered the building.
Yeah,
Have you met 15.0?
I don't think I have.
I don't think we have. Definitely looks like an upgrade. So,
I think, Peter, don't you think a good way to introduce these two is to play a memory?
Good way to introduce us would have been to have Berg send him with Arcola whiskey so I could try it.
ooh.
That would have been good. Berg.
Could have
See,
done that.
If I knew he was going to be there, well, first of all, Baldwin, are you saying it's not sold in Rollins?
Boy, I don't know. I'd have to
I know
look.
for sure it's sold in Cheyenne. You drove through Cheyenne to get there.
Well, we're a little smaller, and we've got deer with meth problems, so it's not quite the same culture.
But you drove through Cheyenne. You could have picked a bottle up for Vicar.
No, we went north. We took I-90.
Oh,
'Cause I like my sanity and hate playing
Okay.
Frogger with semis. So,
So you went north?
mhm.
That sucks. Oofda.
My degrees are in pharmacy and in theology, not in geography. So
Oofda. Yeah,
you're
okay.
expecting a
okay.
lot of me, Berg.
So where did you start heading north?
Well, my folks live in the northeast corner of the state, so we went up and just stayed with them
So did you go like north to Cheyenne from Muddy Gap?
through Casper.
Yeah.
Casper
So,
to Lusk to.
Arcola's in Casper too, you know.
I failed. You've caught me. You've caught me.
And
So
all you
you
would
should
have
have
had to
like
do
an
was ask.
Berg, does Arcola on its website have like an interactive map of where it's currently sold? That would be useful.
It should. It should. Anyone here can buy Arcola online, Spirits and Spice. They can also contact us. And I've just taken over the Facebook page, so be looking out for new postings. It's going to be rad.
I was going to ask, will it be rad?
They have
Oh.
a book of Concord conveniently behind it. As you
It
post
will
it.
not only be rad, it'll be bodacious.
Ooh.
Wow.
Whoa.
So
Wow.
I just said it.
so,
Mic drop.
So, do you have that, Peter? Chance?
I just grabbed it. Give me a sec.
All right.
No, I don't have Arcola, but I do have some other local flavor. Would you be interested, Vicar?
I mean, if you're offering, don't feel like you have to.
He's still a vicar, so his favorite is free.
Okay, well, this is
I like IPAs.
okay. So it is Fluffy Cow.
Fluffy cow. What makes it fluffy?
Well, so Fluffy Cow is the nickname for the bison up there around Yellowstone, because people think they look like cows, but are nice and soft and lovable.
Hmm.
And then they get
That is
launched
not
like
correct.
10 feet in the air and go to the hospital.
Nice. This is pretty good.
So there are signs that say, don't pet the fluffy cows. And it inspired a beer.
So, Vicar, I just got a text that someone is asking a question to you over text. So it says, for clerical errors, when will Vicar make truly simple food?
Oh,
Well, how are you defining simple?
Well, he doesn't make simple
That's
food.
all
He
I-
just uses.
that's all I got,
He uses
man.
simple ingredients.
Yeah. Well, sometimes we have like a Greek salad, so all we do is we either grill or pan-sear the chicken with some herbs. Then you put it on some spring mix, cucumber, tomato, white onion, Kalamata olives. You can't get simpler than that because I'm literally just taking the plant and putting it in a bowl.
all right.
I love it. I love it. I
This
love
is,
it.
by the way, this is a great
Vicar,
transition.
don't ever change who you are.
This guy's
won't.
never heard of a hot dog in his life.
What? No, how is a hot dog simple? Do you have any idea how many processes a hot dog go through? I have nothing against a hot
Please,
dog.
Please
I
tell
like
us.
a Nathan's
Tell
hot
us.
dog every now and then.
Got that dog in it.
Right. Right. But think of, it all depends. Again, you have to define your semantics, right? What are you defining as simple? Like think of how many processes has gone through, the different frickin' nitrates they add to it, right? How is that simpler than taking a piece of lettuce and putting a piece of chicken on it? You know?
Wisdom crying out in the street, about simple ones was not selling hot dogs. That's what we were getting at, right?
Yeah. This IPA is pretty good because it tastes like an IPA. It's not quite as bitter an aftertaste as sometimes IPAs are.
So
So
that reminds me. I want to play this. This will roll nicely. I've dedicated the show to you, Vicar. So
Which one do you want to play?
yes. So here you go, Vicar. In honor of your last episode with, please enjoy this. Vicar 21.0. For your year of dedication on the Clerical Errors podcast, I wanted to offer you a simple note of thanks for all that you do. Simple. Like a hamburger. A simple hamburger. A hand-formed patty of 100% A5 grade Wagyu beef, delicately seared and nestled atop a toasted brioche bun infused with Madagascar vanilla and a black truffle essence, layered with cave-aged Gruyere cheese, heirloom tomato confit, and a Mizuna microgreen, and finished with a duck egg yolk aioli and a Cabernet shallot reduction, served with a side of hand-cut palma fries, twice cooked in beef tallow and lightly dusted with Himalayan pink salt. Something simple. It seems as though it was just yesterday when you walked across Kramer Chapel after hearing my sermon so wonderful that at least you weren't disappointed about coming to Hampton. I want you to know what an honor, privilege, and a blessing that it has been for you through the podcast to be introduced to Berg, so that when you had a deep theological question, you can tell me with anticipation and excitement, I can't wait to ask Berg. In a year's time, you will hand in your number 21.0 and pick up a stool And at that point, you will also be mentioned here, not as a number, but with a name. And we simply hope here at the Clerical Heirs podcast that you remember us when you are district president of the Eastern District of the LCMS. That you will use your sphere of influence to encourage people to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast, and to consider a gift through Patreon. Don't worry, you should still have those notes on your phone.
Yep, I will have those notes on my phone because I just automatically switch my photos over. So a couple things. First of all, I have never made a burger like that, but if it was set in front of me, I'd eat it happily. When I make a burger at home, if I make it on the grill, I just, do the typical dad way and I make the hand patty, blah, blah, blah. I don't really care. Yes. Throw it on there. If I want like a nice burger at home, I do a smash burger. Same ingredients, just is more articulate.
What percentage?
20, probably
80-20?
80-20. You could go lower, but then if you have a gas stove, you're dangerous of a grease fire. Burgers are the only thing I use 80-20 for. Otherwise, I'll use 85 for most things. So you roll it, you smash it down before it's cooked. Everyone always gets anal retentive because they think you're smashing the juices out while you're smashing it before it's cooked. All right. So there's no
Relax,
the juices have not rendered yet, people. All right.
Uh-huh.
So you smash it, season, salt, and pepper. Very simple, right?
Simple.
This has to be in a stainless steel pan, right? Which you have to preheat first. Then you smash it down so you get that good crust, get a good metal spatula, scrape it up.
What about a well
American cheese on top? All right. If all you people think simple is processed, I use the most processed cheese for my burgers. Has to be American. Put it on top. White onions, stack them, 2 patties, and then lettuce, tomato, regular, plain old. So that,
Okay.
That's not that complicated, is it?
No.
And there was something else, too. I've asked you, you accusing me. The accusations, right? True colors come out a week before I leave. Now, because you don't have to live with me afterwards, right? You you ask Berg things, right? Well, there's certain things I ask Berg, right? Maybe historical questions, historical theology, more systematic type stuff, right? Maybe exegetical, right? And then I come to you for like pastoral theology questions, practical theology, maybe missiology, right? So you each have your place, so you can stay in it. I'm joking.
Final eval gets written when?
Already in.
And when I say I wasn't disappointed to go to Hempton, it's not like when my reaction was like relief, because you think of like the some things that you could get, right?
Right. Yes.
So it's not like my reaction was like it could be worse. It was like, oh God. Right.
Good job.
I've kind of held back this entire year about my East Coast. How do I want to word it? Lack of filter. So if it's my last day, I can not have one today.
That's right.
There you go. No,
That's right.
I want to make a pilgrimage to Vicar's parsonage at some point, just so he can make me some simple food.
Sure. I meal prepped the entire week because we packed up our kitchen. So
very nice.
Yeah. So how does that feel going back?
I'm looking forward to seeing my classmates. I'm looking forward to learning more. I'm not looking forward to doing homework.
Yeah.
I always enjoy learning more. I don't always enjoy turning something in for a grade. That makes sense.
Got to be one of the fun parts of when you're actually out finally.
Right.
Is when you have these free time sometimes. You can actually just, I want to read this. I want to study that. I want to look more into, whatever.
I want to look at Greek and there's no pressure that you have to reproduce the paradigm or something.
Right. Unless Berg's your circuit visitor, then you're in trouble and you're going to try to read books and he's going to quiz you.
Right.
I'm looking at you, Baldwin.
Right.
Has he made you translate a passage of Greek on the fly? Like, I don't know, from 1 Peter or something from Paul?
No, we haven't done that. But to be fair, I had to remind Berg what book we were supposed to read for next week. So,
Has it ever humbled that? How often has it happened where someone will make like some sort of a historical point and then he'll say, well, actually.
It has actually been really nice because our circuit has so many wonderful guys and Berg definitely has that he did a lector's Bible on Revelation for one of our circuit forums. It was really good. Even to Berg's praise, and Vicar, this is something to keep in mind is to take that theology and be able to make it so the layman be like, wow, like the whole way back to Rollins, which was, a ways. I got to hear the praises of Pastor Berg. Man, he just really knows his stuff, which was funny because
But then you get elected to stuff.
I've been there.
Right.
But then you get elected to stuff. That's the problem.
Yeah. You need to ride the line between being competent enough that nobody worries about you, but not so competent that they give you more things to do that you don't want to do.
Well, Vicar, in that way, you're probably a lot farther ahead than me. So
Right.
So just,
Because
put it into practice.
because to kind of show you, now that you've met Pastor Baldwin, what things were like when he was a vicar, we do have something that we would like to play for you, kind of help you understand
Who this is.
The Walk of Shame in audio form. All right. Welcome to Clerical Errors. Clerical Errors. Clerical Errors. Welcome to Clerical Errors. I'm Vicar Baldwin. Welcome to Clerical Errors. Welcome to Clerical Errors. I'm Pastor Baldwin someday. Hey. Clerical Errors. Yes, welcome to Clerical Errors, where we discuss errors.
Vicar, what are you doing?
Oh, hey, Pastor.
Are you
know.
recording? What's going on?
I didn't think so. Are these on?
They're on.
Oh.
All right, Peter, play the intro. Well, I really didn't have a chance whether to get the vicar involved because he's like, "Hey, Pastor, what you doing? You're gonna do a podcast?" Oh, so I'm like, okay, how can I get him involved without him screwing everything up again?
Just remember, this sets the standard for every other vicar ever.
We have this really fancy app. We have what's called a Hey Vicar app. I'm going to warn you, it has a few bugs.
It gets the job done.
It gets the job done. So, for example, "Hey Vicar, what's the temperature outside?"
Well, let me see here. Man, it's 6 degrees.
Wow.
Hey, how about that?
Wow. So this is going great. All right. Very first
Stellar work.
first time at this, and you limped in with that. We're proud of you, Vicar.
Hey there, Vicar 15.0 here. Just a quick word to all our listeners, a sort of updated terms and conditions, if you will. As you've no doubt figured out by now, much of this podcast involves joking around, giving each other a hard time, and whatnot. Everyone on here is sort of a caricature of themselves in the real world. Part of that involves giving the stereotypical oblivious vicar a little bit of a hard time now and again. Please be assured that this is all in good fun, none of it serious. And, on the off chance you think what I get is rough, remember that Pastor Bullhagen has to endure every single rough draft of my sermons. That's no small thing. Anyways, that's all I've got, so click accept, sit back, and enjoy the show.
Vicar, you mind showing me your notes?
Notes? Show them to you?
Why is this just a picture of a cat?
Oh, well, cat. And then I was like, ism. I don't know how you draw that.
Part of that, he's wearing a Calvin and Hobbes t-shirt.
Well, yeah, man. Calvin and Hobbes. It's an election shirt, too, so.
Vicar brought our beverage today. He's got a package of a coffee entitled Burly Man Coffee. How did you brew this coffee?
In a coffee pot.
I thought maybe with Burly Man Coffee, you do it in a campfire.
Like, I ground the beans with a hammer. I just went out and smashed them over and over and over. And then screamed at them. But we also have sugar, half and half. And in case the coffee's a little too burly for you, S'mores Limited Edition International Delight Creamer.
Holy
Oh,
buckets.
yeah. Wow. You know what, Vicar? It tastes like coffee.
All right.
Well done.
So I've got my 12, and the reason why I have 12 is Vicar. Hey, Vicar, what's the significance of 12 in the Bible?
12 in the Bible.
He has to Google it.
Completion?
All right, completion. Like, how many disciples are there?
12.
How many apostles are there?
12?
How many tribes with Israel?
12?
Wrong, 13.
Vicar, what do you, now that you've got our cups here, what do you know about sake?
Well, it's made from rice, and my wife and I had some on our honeymoon. That was pretty good stuff.
Oh,
We drank it out of, it's like wooden boxes. So I didn't have any of those, sorry.
man. Yeah, I guess
How poor were you?
if you're listening at home, one thing you didn't expect to learn about today is about how Vicar spends his honeymoon in a wooden box drinking sake. Can I just stop you for a minute?
Sorry.
No.
It's getting a little
Well,
too...
I'm really trying to concentrate, but then I see Vicar. He's playing with his shoe. What on earth are you doing?
He's looking for snakes.
He has his shoe off. It's in his hands, and he's looking at it like it's a puppy. What are you doing, Vicar? What are you doing?
I don't know.
We had a thing going.
Yeah.
We were.
It was a beautiful moment and ruined. Well,
You're just playing with your shoe. How old are you? Hey, Vicar. What does a porpoise sound like?
I have no idea.
Please.
Yeah, do comparison. Do comparison. I want to hear comparison.
Here's a porpoise. Now here's a dolphin. All right.
Pick out an animal. This is fun.
a platypus.
Hi kids, I'm Perry the Platypus.
You have kids, right?
Yeah, you have kids.
I do, they don't watch Perry the Platypus, whatever that is.
Koala bear. Vicar, what does a koala bear sound like? Okay. All right.
So
I like where this led.
Honestly, that one was pretty close.
For our sticky notes today, Berg and I will be suppressing our laughter, and I would like to hear some animals laughing for our sticky notes today.
Vicar.
So we'll start with an easy one. Hey, hyena. Do you remember this? Remember this?
I'm never gonna get a call.
Okay. Hey, tsetse fly.
What is that even?
That's a fly that bites you. You get some sort of a disease.
In Africa?
Okay, but you're asking him to make a noise of a fly?
Yep. So he tsetse fly. Do you remember this? Hey, so how about you got one? Got one, Berg, there?
Well, you went with fly. Let's go with elephant.
Okay. Hey, well, let's go. How about this? Elephant's too easy.
Okay.
Because he knows what an elephant
Elephant's
sounds like.
too easy.
But does he know what a woolly mammoth sounds like?
Yes.
See? Hey, woolly mammoth. Do you remember this?
What a train wreck.
Baldwin, are you crying? Are you crying?
In Tsetse Fly.
The only thing I have to say is Victor 21 is I'm sorry. It seems like they got a lot more abuse back then.
Yeah.
I guess we were working the bugs out of the apps.
Right.
We've
Did you
mellowed a
notice
lot
that,
over the years, Vicar.
21.0 had a very visceral reaction to all that. He was like, are you kidding me? This poor guy. What were you thinking? 21?
Empathy, I guess.
It was like, I could totally do a better platypus than that.
I don't know if I've ever heard that platypus.
But here's the thing.
I had neither at that point.
This vicar, when he was a vicar long enough to know, that was kind of his love language. Am I wrong?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We had a lot of fun with that. Oh, man.
Platypus noises or being humiliated was his love language. I'm confused.
Being humiliated in
Okay.
platypus.
Okay.
Yeah, we were
whatever.
still working things out. It was a different show back then.
Whatever floats your boat, I guess.
Props to Past Peter for the very first question we asked the Vicar app, and I just left it all uncut and let him flounder for like a minute. That's awesome.
Good
Oh.
times.
Good times.
But that
Well-
was fun to think about that. I remember when you guys were talking about it and just, you and Berg were going to bounce stuff back and forth. And then, me getting to actually be part of it, though, as a vicar.
On the ground floor.
Right. It's kind of like the comic relief or whatever I don't know what I was. It was rough, but man, it was a good time. And just getting to see, they don't teach you that at seminary.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
how
say
to
you
make
want to start
platypus noises.
how to make, right.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I like how your son started saying, "Hey, Vicar," at
Yeah, right. My son, I don't even remember what we were doing. It was the dinner. And he just looks at me and says, "Hey, Vicar, what do you know about Tweedle Beetles?"
Wow.
He loved the Dr. Seuss, Socks and Fox. I'm just sitting there eating and just, "Hey, Vicar." Yep.
Lovely.
And by the way, his wife is Whitney. Is the outro
Okay.
at the end.
Okay. Yeah. I was listening to that the other day. Needs to be updated. I can't remember why though, off the top of my head.
Because it's not Twitter anymore.
Because iTunes doesn't exist anymore.
Oh.
Anyway, so I have to know, as the vicar from however long ago, how many generations, do you still listen to the podcast or no?
On and off. There's kind of spurts where I have time for podcasting, and then others I don't. But especially coming out here, it was fun to kind of catch, back up with things. See what's got that dog in it?
Right, that one.
See, here's the thing. He made all those noises, and I couldn't even get you to say, "Got that dog in him."
I'll take what I can get.
Maybe I've gone soft. Have I gone soft, Berg? Am I a different guy?
You've just mellowed.
Am I old age?
We could get away with a lot more.
Yeah.
Well, starting to 5:30 is when.
Oh, yeah, I probably should, huh?
So.
Well.
So now we have to do serious things.
No, we have to do your list.
Well, what about the text? Did you do that?
We already did that.
Oh, good.
We did that.
You could read it in platypus.
I'm good.
Ha!
So any fighting, I don't need to kick you out.
No. It's good. Thanks, man. Fun to be
You
back.
can leave the beer if you want.
Well, that's all I brought. So once a vicar, always a vicar. Still cheap like a vicar.
Hey, give a shout out to Hannah. She still listens.
Hey, Hannah, shout out to you.
All right.
Hey, looking forward to seeing you in I don't know, a week.
Yes. Yeah, next Thursday.
It'll be rad.
Be very rad. So.
Hey,
Baldwin
don't be
us.
a stranger on the show either.
Yeah.
I'll try to think of some actually good stuff for
You got a
Western
microphone.
podcast. Yes, I do. And I don't have to talk about the human skin shoes that we have in Rollins anymore either. So
You should
actual content.
Idea based on this. You should do like a vicar spotlight, like a couple times a year, maybe once a quarter. You should have a previous vicar send in something that's like a couple minutes long. Could be serious, could not be serious, whatever.
Like it.
There you go.
Yeah.
We've done them in the past. It's just that they don't ever record anything.
Or they forget to put on their good mic and they get told it sounds like they're recording from their bathroom.
Because to be honest, if one of my vicars had a podcast and then they said, "Hey, can you send something?" What are the chances that I even open the email?
Well, you have to put a deceptive title on it.
Right.
All right, gentlemen, I will leave you to it.
All right, nice to meet you.
All right. I'll
Thanks
see you in
for
a little
coming.
bit. I'll be over there. Yeah.
Sounds good. Pete, good seeing you.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. That was fun. All right. So, Vicar, you have your top 12 list, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I don't know if it's good or
I'll say
not.
it for you. Peter, play the intro. Oh, wait. Say it before you leave.
Oh,
Peter, play the intro.
Enough nonsense. It's time for Bullhagen's Top 12.
Man, this beer, what percentage is this? Wow.
It's looks like
Not
it's
high
about
enough.
6.
It's like 6.7. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, right as I'm about to do my top 12. All right.
Now
All
we're
right.
talking.
What is your top 12 list?
As I've told, it's the tradition of the elders to do top 12 things I have learned on Vicarage during the course of my year here. So I have done that. These are in any particular order how I compose this list. I'm the kind of person, when I sit down and like you tell me to write a top 12 list, my mind goes empty. So over the course of the last couple of days, I've been adding, this is something. This is something. Some of them are serious. Some of them aren't as serious. So
All right.
it is what it is.
Number 12.
Teaching is the best way to learn, right?
Okay.
So,
Amen.
I found when you're like, for example, specifically with Bible studies, right? If I if I'm going to present a book of the Bible and I'm moving through it piece by piece, verse by verse, of course, there's always going to be more to learn, but the goal is to cover everything. So, but in teaching like the Gospel of Matthew, which I did here, now I know the Gospel of Matthew more than I ever have because I've taught it, right? Whereas, like, if you're just, writing a paper on a pericope in the seminary or whatever, or sitting in lectures, you're not being forced to cover every detail of it. So I think I found, in teaching scripture becomes the best way to learn scripture, right?
Because you find yourself more inquisitive about it too. Not goal-oriented, well, how can I use this for my paper? But
yeah. And also, what questions are going to people ask me from this, right? What verses aren't going to make sense to people? What verses don't make sense to me, right? Because even in preaching a sermon, right, you're going to you may pick up on a certain aspect of it. Like there may be more, like the reading we had last week, for example. Like there's 100 different ways you could preach that, right? Mm-hmm. And one verse may not make sense to you, and it's a temptation to then preach on what does make sense, right? Whereas if you're moving through it verse by verse, reading it with people, right? And I think that's, just as an aside, I think that's why, doing like expository preaching through an epistle or something during Lent, where you can do Lectio Continua like I did, is helpful too, because it forces you to do that in a preaching context.
Number 11.
Number 11, the importance of early catechesis for children. I've noticed, like, in interacting with a bunch of different children, right? Like for the daycare, for example, those kids, how well do they have their verses memorized, Pastor Bullhagen?
very well.
Very well. And then, but
They're probably about 15.
right, and like
The entire 23rd Psalm, the Apostles' Creed.
right, because if you're gonna those, I don't know what the older kids are. What are they, like 5, 6, whatever? I don't know.
Yeah, probably going up to 8, maybe.
Yeah, anywhere from just 4 to 8. They all know the Apostles' Creed really well. They know the 23rd Psalm really well. Now, Pastor Bullhagen, let me ask you, if you're going to teach an 8th grader who doesn't know the Apostles' Creed to memorize it, is that going to be as quote-unquote easy?
No.
No. Right? So I think, this is something I'm thinking about, when I'm a pastor, is how can I help parents teach their children from a really young age? Because I think I've used the example before many times of it's like chores. You don't teach your kid to do a chore when they're 12. You teach them to do it when they're 3, so that way when they're 12, it's natural.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same way with teaching scripture. So it's kind of been an encouragement to me to be faithful in teaching my kids when they're a young age, and also to when I enter my own ministry, to maybe give special attention to the young children that you might not think, oh, they don't need that deep stuff yet,
Right. And to model how to actually learn to memorize it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Anything to add to that?
Yeah, like today, I just told them without any help to say the Apostles' Creed, and they all just said it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And even my son, he's 3 now. He has trouble with certain words, but he can say the Lord's Prayer by and large. I mean, if I asked him to recite it, I don't think he could do it. But when we say it with him, he kind of follows along, you know.
Right.
It's kind of like, it's like the word of God is actually right when it says, teach a child what's right when he's young and he won't depart from it.
Number 10.
Preach difficult topics from the pulpit and not just in Bible study.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because how many people come to Bible study? Like maybe
If it's a
20
strong church, 25%.
yeah, it's maybe like 20% here, if I had to guess, right?
Yeah.
And what kind of people are going to go to the Bible study? Or is it going to be your most faithful or not? It's going to be your more faithful, right? Who are the ones who probably already might or are more likely to already know what the church teaches on those difficult topics, right?
Right.
Like on abortion or whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of, because I even here early on, I kind of found myself like, as it comes up, teaching scripture very thoroughly, verse by verse. Certain difficult topics are going to come up. People might have questions, whatever. And then suddenly I realized I didn't talk about X, Y. When have I preached on X, Y, or Z?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's kind of more of a way in which to gently warn myself, right? I could tell myself, oh, I've talked about this topic, but it's only been in a certain setting where 20% of the people are going to hear about it.
Right.
and to preach also the difficult things from the pulpit. Also, giving the gospel along with it, of course, right? But just we do have to, even with the 1-year lectionary, which we do have to preach the whole counsel of God every year. That's kind of the way it's seen, right? Everything that Christ teaches needs to come up throughout the lectionary, even though you're not literally teaching on every text. You need to pull in from everywhere else.
Right.
So I think that's one thing.
And issues arise along the way that, we would preach on certain things that Luther wouldn't need to preach on necessarily.
Right.
Number 9.
I think one thing I've learned from you, is how to handle conflict and, kind of lower the temperature of a room if people are upset. I think that's one thing that you're really gifted at, So I think that's something I'll always carry with me, right? How to, even if you vehemently disagree with somebody, or even if they're being unfair, to slow down, listen to them, make sure that they know they're being heard, even if they're wrong, and then gently, because kind of like, it's like Christ, as Peter says in his epistle, when he was reviled, he reviled not. Mm-hmm. And to take up your cross is to kind of endure that as a pastor as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, because if somebody is saying or believes something that's wrong, right, and the scripture teaches otherwise, and you teach otherwise, and the church teaches otherwise, it's kind of tempting to just immediately say, okay, well, here's why you're wrong, right? And they very well may be wrong, but in the very least kind of say back to them what they're thinking and why they're objecting to it. So at the very least, they know that you understand where they're coming from. Because
the more you understand where they're coming from, the easier it is to actually address it.
Right. Yeah, and exactly. Because somebody could reject something, just as an example. Before I became a Lutheran, one thing that was really offensive to me was the idea that you could lose your faith. And in retrospect, I wasn't... Actually, no, let me backtrack. Forget all that, scratch all that. Initially, I rejected to the Lutheran view that baptism saves, not because the idea that baptism saves was offensive to me, but because I knew that, well, not every infant that's baptized perseveres. So therefore, I'd have to give up perseverance of the saints, the idea that you can't fall away. So if I was talking to a Lutheran pastor, I could say, oh, the idea of that baptism saves I have an issue with that. And then you could say, oh, well, here's all the verses that say the baptism saves, which there's many, right? But then you won't actually address the underlying issue of why they're afraid to accept that that's true. Because there's something deeper going on than just, the theology of baptism I don't like, There's something more existential. Because if that means if someone else can fall away, then that means I can fall away. Right? And what I need to be told in the moment, and eventually I realized, all right, the idea that you can lose your faith isn't that you're going to sin one too many times and God is going to reject you, right? That's not what we teach. It's more that if you refuse to repent, you can fall away. It's not like you're asking for forgiveness and then God's going to refuse it, right?
So just kind of like if someone is afraid that if they've committed the unforgivable sin, they haven't.
Yeah. So does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I think Berg when he was he's kind of noticed that aspect about my ability to lower temperatures.
Yeah. And I also really look up to guys who are, especially being from the East Coast, who just call it how it is, right? Mm-hmm. So I think ideally you need to combine those two things as best as possible. Like you need to not be afraid of conflict, but also not amplify it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Still have the difficult conversations. Don't back down.
Right. Because they're going to listen to you more the more they understand.
Yeah.
That you're doing it for their benefit.
Right.
Number 8.
I still don't understand Midwestern culture. I still feel like a sojourner in a foreign land. Like on the Vicarage review, it's like, oh, do you think the vicar would do well at cross-cultural missions? And I'm like, well, I've been doing it for years. I don't know.
What exactly? Like
because it's explained to me as one thing, but then like it feels different when I experience it in person. Like the whole Midwestern nice thing, like, oh, we're just really polite. But then when I interact with people, it doesn't necessarily feel that way. Not as though they're rude, right?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, not always, sometimes it can come across to me as not so much being nice, but being conflict avoidant, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's so much as it is a small town thing as it is a Midwestern thing.
Okay.
I don't know.
Or where it maybe feels, I mean, Midwest is really good at being passive aggressive, where you're
I personally haven't experienced that.
right.
And it's not as though people have been unwelcoming to me. It's just
Right. Well, part of it is too, you just kind of like, to a certain degree, of a little anonymity.
me personally.
Yeah, like if you go somewhere, don't you?
I do, yeah. But I also feel like part of the Midwestern nice thing, this is just a theory, correct me if I'm wrong, Midwestern people, because I'm ignorant, I guess. Sometimes it comes across to me as people are conflict avoidant because they want to protect their own kind of reputation and anonymity, right? Like if let's say there's something that they're disagreeing about in the church, people will be very careful about how they talk about that, right?
Right.
And I think it's kind of a way to kind of protect themselves, right? Because especially, again, the part of me wonders if it's a small town thing too. Like if you do something really stupid in a small town when you're young, everybody's going to remember it for the rest of your life,
Right.
So then I feel like it's kind of a way to protect themselves as well.
Part of it is too, you're playing a game in your head whenever you talk with someone, because like everything is interrelated. Like everything, you talk to someone, they're related to someone else.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
think, Berg? You've been in the Midwest a long time, even though you're in Wyoming.
Yeah, I mean, it's still out here too. I mean, it's people don't want to fight. People don't want to commit. People don't want to say what's right because they can't distinguish between the person and the issue.
Right.
And that's really the biggest thing.
Right.
So,
Because I would rather it's not like I don't enjoy conflict.
I'd rather
don't
hash it out.
I don't enjoy it when people don't like me, but I would much rather know what they're thinking than play a guessing game,
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I'd rather, okay, let's talk for 5 minutes. Oh, you have a problem. Okay, here's my solution. Let's move on. Don't keep talking to me about it.
Don't talk to Berg. Berg 2025.
Well, I mean, if we've talked about the issue, I've understood you, I've given you a solution. Now let's move on.
Right. Right.
Holy buckets. We don't have to rehash.
I'll
this
tell you
thing
how this plays
15
out.
different times.
I'll tell you how this plays out in a lot of Midwestern churches. Is you have a meeting, and after your meeting, you have the real meeting in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Well, and typically, and I hate to say it, but here it's a unanimous vote, but it's the women at the end in the parking lot who are pissed about something. That's what it is. Am I wrong? I'm not
I
wrong.
haven't experienced it here, but
So, no, that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So, if you can't say what you're thinking at the meeting, then don't be a voter. Because we need to be more forthright. You can be forthright without being rude. You can be forthright without being immovable. You can be forthright while still hearing somebody. When people say, "Oh, Pastor, you're not listening to me." No, I know exactly what you're saying. 85% of the time you're saying in the Midwest, you're not doing what I'm telling you to do.
That's not listening. Yeah.
That's what they consider not listening. So
Yeah.
let's, in some ways, the Midwest is toxic that way because you have to be able to say, look, this is a problem. Just because I'm being forthright about it doesn't mean I'm being rude or disrespectful or immovable on anything.
Do you know why I'm
But
smiling?
Why?
Because the vicar said, I got a lighthearted one.
Yeah. Well,
right. And to be fair, it's not as though it's like where I come from. It's always peaches and roses on the East Coast. People are more upfront. Like just for example, in the church I grew up in, which it may not be like this in other places, but the Baptist church I grew up in, people are very upfront about what they think, but it's A, to people that they trust and that are on their side, and B, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they do it to be intentionally offensive or divisive, right? So it's kind of the other extreme.
yeah, and we don't want that,
Right.
I mean, we're all playing on the same team here. right?
Right.
We're all shooting in the same direction, God willing, but it shouldn't be that way. Like, if your pastor says no to you, you should be, well, I trust him. Don't tell
Right.
him, oh, well, because you seem like you're not willing to meet people halfway. So, that's not going to serve you very well in life. Well, you know what? There's another life after this one. I
There you
think
go.
that'll be fine.
Number 7.
Your work is never done, but maybe that's okay, right?
Mhm.
Because as a vicar or pastor, it always seems like there's always something else you could do, something else you could put more work into, some other project you could start,
Right.
whatever else, right? But it's okay in the sense that, the work of a pastor is never done, because if the work's done, then that means, you're out of a
Right.
job, right? And just to kind of, to rest in the fact that, do the best you can with the time you have and work hard, but like, don't beat yourself up over the fact that you could do more, because there's always going to be more,
Right. Even if you do more, you'll find more.
Right.
Yeah. Be efficient with what you do.
Right. And prioritize, right? Because some things are
Yep.
obviously going to be
Right.
more pressing than others.
Number 6.
Don't take yourself too seriously, but take the work you do seriously, right?
Okay.
Yep.
I think maybe I'm wrong on this, but I think it's Dr. Bruss who said, have complete confidence in Christ, but you don't trust yourself at all. I'm loosely paraphrasing that.
No,
Right.
that's good.
Have complete confidence in what Scripture says, but not in your own ability.
Number 5.
Visiting people, at least the people above the age of 50 in the congregation, is best how to build a relationship with them, right? Because when I think of most of the people that I kind of feel like I know well here, it's people that I visited, or people that have been forced to be in contact with me one-on-one because of like whatever role they have in the church,
Right.
right? So I think you need to give people one-on-one attention to a certain degree. Now that's difficult because with how things go, you don't always have the time to, especially if you have a larger congregation. You can't always, right? But just the fact of, if I want to know someone well or know what they're thinking, know what their anxieties are, like, you have to visit them. You have to actually interact with them one-on-one.
Right.
Right.
And ask them those questions.
Right. Especially going back to the Midwestern thing, right? People aren't necessarily going to offer that up if they're kind of allowed to be in the shadows.
Right.
Number 4.
Differences between what the young and old need. And this one's kind of interesting to me because I feel like young people nowadays and old people nowadays are the exact opposite of each other, right? Old people are really good, for the most part, conversationalists. They're really hospitable, I found,
Mm-hmm.
in congregations. They're always happy to have a conversation, just sit down and talk, right?
Right.
But then, because, they're older, right? Sometimes they may be more hesitant to learn something new, or if you're teaching them something that sounds unfamiliar, or that, is kind of a gentle correction against with the way they've seen things for a while, it's not always well received, right? You might get a little bit of pushback. Whereas young people are the opposite. And when I say young, I'm thinking like my age and younger, like under the age of 30. Whereas most of them, from what I've seen, are much more willing to accept what I'm saying if I make a good argument for it. And especially if they're converts, right? They're normally going to be really, really, what's the word I'm looking for? Have good fervor for like what we teach.
Right.
For example, they're Lutheran because they want to be Lutheran.
Right.
But on the other hand, I found that people my age and younger are not hospitable. Now, that's not to say they're hostile, right? But
Right.
When I think of all the awkward interactions I've had on Vicarage, it's always with people under the age of 30. When I don't know what to say, it's always people my own age or younger.
Right.
Whereas if I visit an old person, I never have to feel like, it's an awkward conversation. And I don't know if part of that's like it's the age of the internet. Part of maybe you develop those skills more and more as you get older.
The way I would observe it is like older folks just go and visit. Younger folks like visit while you do something.
Yeah. And I think the part of it too is older people are perfectly happy to talk about generic things, which is fine, right? They'll talk about what birds they see outside of their window happily. They'll talk about the weather happily. If you want to like connect with a young person, you have to be interested in what they're interested in,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't think is healthy, right? I mean, it's good to have interests, right? And it's fine
Right.
to occasionally have interests that aren't super common. But if you're incapable of like having a conversation with someone who doesn't share the interests as you, I don't think that's good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm not like I wouldn't say I'm good at this yet, but I think I've realized like kind of the way in to a certain extent is by asking them what their hobbies and interests are, and then just letting them, trying to get them to just talk about it, right?
Right.
But I don't know.
It's a challenge as speaking as an older person.
Yeah. Because I feel like, and the other thing is, I don't think it's as though young people don't want to have like good friends and a good sense of community. I just think it's difficult.
They kind of want it more on their terms.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because, well, how do you, especially with like Gen Z, my generation, the way to reach them is the hardest way to reach them, right? Like people my age, I hate having things marketed to them that they don't want. Like if we feel like something's artificial at all, we're going to reject it.
Right.
So how do you reach them? By like being their friend. But what's the most difficult thing? To learn to be their friend.
Right. Without saying, like to be packaged as a friend.
Right.
Like fake friend.
And it's like going to the gym, for example, who's going to most likely just say hi and wave at me? Somebody who's older. So if I want to kind of break down that barrier and try to reach out to people my own age in the community, I have to be the one, who says, hey, how's it going? Wave, smile. But then, and I think part of it's the political climate. Everything's so divisive. You never know what you might say. Like, oh, I don't always wipe down the bench after I use it. And then somebody will get upset, I think everyone my age. Yeah, here's a good way to word it. Everybody older assumes that someone is a friend until they learn that they're an enemy. With my age, and I feel the exact same way, I'm not saying I'm immune to this. I assume that everyone is an enemy until they've proven themselves to be a friend. I assume that everyone is going to like go down my throat, figuratively speaking, And so I think to kind of get past that, like when you first say hi to somebody and, who knows, it's possible that they're just a jerk or they don't want anything to do with you. But if they're like under the age of 30, the first 10 times you say hi to them casually, they're going to like kind of look and like, oh, why is this person saying hi to me?
Right.
Like it's not going to feel comfortable, but it's like melting ice. You have to just do it until eventually they're worn down and they trust you.
All right. I've got the perfect visual of this. Okay. Of what you just said.
Uh-huh.
Right. Is when you walked across the Kramer Chapel and I give you a sup. You're like, who's this guy? What are you doing?
Well, yeah. Well, mostly because I was supposed to shake 2 people's hands and I didn't know I was shaking 3. Yeah. But I also think that, like the positive aspect of this is if people are really serious about their faith and they're younger, that is something that we unite over. Like when I think of my closest friends at the seminary, a lot of them I don't think I'd be friends with if we weren't at the seminary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, one guy that I'm good friends with, we're kind of into totally different hobbies, totally different interests.
Right.
Sometimes he kind of annoys me, but because we're so united in what scripture teaches and kind of we're on the same wavelength of, how we want to go about our ministry, he's one of my closest friends. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it does have the positive aspect, right? That it should be something deeper than just surface level, like hobbies. Right.
Right.
This is another topic I'm thinking about. How do men form friendships, right? Like if you're a man and you want to make a friend and you're making a friend because you want to make a friend, you're going to fail, right?
Right.
If you're going out socializing with people thinking I want companionship as a man, it's not going to work. Because how do men form friendships? Like not standing face to face, but standing side by side, right? We're working on the same project. We're fighting for the same same things, right? That's why the guys at the seminary, the guys that you go through summer Greek with, end up being like some of your, even if you don't necessarily constantly talk to them, like you always feel like, oh, that person is my brother because we endured this difficult thing together.
Right.
Right. So like a friendship formed off of, oh, we like the same video games or we're into the same niche hobby or something is only going to be as strong as that surface level thing. But if you can get past that and actually unite around something deeper and more profound that can't be taken away, like the gospel, that friendship won't ever be removed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the answer is to this, but I think it's definitely an issue that my generation has, is that we're
Yeah.
antisocial, but not because we want to be. I don't know. What do you think, Berg?
Yeah, I mean, you just gotta, I don't know, try, take a chance. I've gotten a lot more mellow as I've gotten older. And if you want to be with people, you just have to put yourself out there and be willing to sacrifice to understand their different hobbies. And otherwise, you're going to have nobody.
Right.
I mean, I've been alone a lot of my life and I don't want to be alone anymore. So there's a lot more I'm willing to sacrifice now at 40 than I was at
Happy
27.
birthday, by the way.
So,
Right. Because when you think like back in the day, like what were people into? Like it was much more communal, like football, like what was on TV, because we all watched the same shows, 'cause
Right.
we had the same channels.
Or 80s music. Like people my age can play a song from the 80s and everyone could start talking about music.
Right. Or like everybody watched like the high school football game. You had the same local traditions, and now it's like, well, I'm chronically online and I'm into this kind of music that no one has heard of, and the other person is into this kind of music that no one else has heard of. So it kind of fractures people.
Right.
Number 3.
This one's pretty straightforward. I've learned how to preach from an outline or on the fly,
Okay.
which I've enjoyed doing, right? Because sometimes if you are practicing a manuscript, it can seem like this doesn't seem natural. I don't feel like, even though I wrote it, like I don't feel like I'm the one saying it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like other times, there's no rhyme or reason to it. Like sometimes I'll preach a manuscript and it'll feel like, perfect. Other times feels unnatural, and it'll even change according to the setting. Because I noticed during the Lent series that the sermons that I thought went really well here I felt like my delivery wasn't good up in Bethlehem, and vice versa. The ones that went really well at Bethlehem, I felt like didn't go here. And the only thing I can think of, the only constant variable, is that there we were doing it in the chapel, where I was like more at ground level. It was more personal, more of an intimate space. And here, it was more of a proper sanctuary, right? So I think it's good to be able to adapt it like from an outline and kind of preach extemporaneously.
And that's something too. It varies by the person as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like I basically handwrite for the most part a manuscript, but it just varies like for each person how they deliver it and what works for them.
Right.
That's what works for you.
Yeah. Because when I've made a outline here, I've made it kind of loosely based on my manuscript. And the sermons end up being normally a little bit shorter, but like if it's delivered better,
Right.
Number 2.
Don't be afraid to teach the basics, or what I think are the basics sometimes, right? Because like I mentioned to you the other day, like sometimes I think, oh, people kind of know what the 3 uses of the law are, just as an example. But then you talk to people and then they actually don't.
Right.
So it's kind of the temptation of you always want to feel like you're putting in the work, right? When I'm preaching on a text, I need to closely examine it, study it, and I feel like I need to put that work in, kind of glean something new, and then, preach the text as such, right? Because it feels like cheating if I'm just preaching.
Like when I preached on the 10 Commandments, and I kind of just went through the 10 Commandments.
Yeah, it feels like cheating in a certain sense, because like, the 10 Commandments, right?
Right.
Like you're not like coming to any new revelations and studying that. Now, I mean, I guess if you legitimately are being lazy and that's why you're doing it, don't do it.
Right.
But it's not necessarily a bad thing to preach what's obvious to you.
Right.
Right. And, because even if you've mentioned something before, like my fieldwork supervisor always used to say, if you don't remember your sermon from a year ago, no one else does. So if the theme ends up being the same, that's totally fine.
Right.
Right. And
although somebody the other day said, remember what you said in that funeral sermon? Like, I was like,
yeah. Right. Because especially like we mentioned earlier with teaching children, when you teach a kid something and they kind of absorb it, they remember it really well.
Right.
Especially if someone comes in as an adult and they're not like super theologically astute, but they believe what we teach. Like you're going to have to teach them like 50 times like the same thing,
right.
Drill it into their heads, So I guess, that part of that's why we always talk about knowing the people. And we always talk about that, it seems like, in terms of applying law and gospel, right? Like what law do they need to hear? How can we speak the gospel of that? That's true. But on the other hand, knowing them in the sense like, what do they actually like know?
Right.
You know,
sometimes that comes away like even like the words you use. Sometimes at the seminary you can kind of get used to using kind of Lutheran jargon. People may not always understand.
right?
And number 1.
So number 2 was don't be afraid to teach the basics. Number 1 is but keep learning and get better and better, right? So it's kind of like as you're teaching the basics, like you can be content knowing that you're giving the congregation what they need, even if it's like if it seems like something kind of fundamental to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, don't settle and think, oh, because they need to learn the 3 uses of the law, I don't need to learn more beyond that.
Right.
Like to kind of always be pressing forward into learning more, whether that's
And ask
about-
how can I do something better?
right. And about about the history of the church, kind of what teaching methods you're using, studying scripture. You're never going to exhaust that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Always keep pressing at it, and even if like you learn something that you think is kind of profound, and maybe the people don't need to hear that as such, it's still going to have an impact and an import onto the other things you teach, right? This is why it drives me insane. Sometimes you hear it at the seminary when my classmates will say, you're talking about a topic, and they'll be like, oh, yeah, the people aren't gonna need to know that. It's like, well, okay, maybe I won't talk about the genus Majestaticum as such. Does that actually matter for pastoral theology?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
I
mean, I look at the people in Constantinople. You'd go and buy some grapes, and they're like, oh, the Son is consubstantial with the Father. Then you go buy some dates. Oh, the Son isn't, da-da-da-da-da, right? Like, people do know this. They can learn it.
Yeah.
It's
right.
not
Like
that hard.
you need to meet people where they're at, but at the same time, don't
leave them where they're at.
settle for where they're at.
I mean,
yeah,
right.
don't leave them there.
Jeepers, don't, keep giving them a bottle and changing their diapers when they can go on the potty.
Right.
Nobody wants to wipe somebody's butt forever.
You have a good little quote. You have good little quotes today, Burke.
I do what I can. So, I mean, it's like, grow up. If you know this stuff, progress. That's the whole
and by
point
the way,
of the book of the Hebrews, right?
you can do both. I mean, you can preach a sermon where a newbie in the faith can understand it, and also you can have some deep stuff in there that you can do both.
Yeah, and
Every sermon should have that, God willing, right?
Right.
right.
So,
like for example, like an Ash Wednesday sermon I preached at my fieldwork church, I just my kind of theme was, even at the moment before judgment, if you repent, God will hear you, right? Because I preach on the Old Testament from Joel, that reading, even now, return, even when the Syrian army is raised. So when I was going through and kind of just rhetorically using a ton of biblical examples, even if you've fallen like King David, even if you've sinned 7 times, 70 times, right? Maybe not everyone is going to know all of those allusions, right? Do they get the point that God is always going to forgive you? Yeah. You can not know what I'm referring to when I say 70 times 70, and you can understand that I'm saying God is always going to forgive you.
Right.
Right.
yeah.
Well, we're kind of concluding this episode, Vicar.
Are we?
I guess so.
I don't think we have to. I actually got
Why?
a whole bunch of texts here.
So, what are your texts, Bert?
All right. So this was texted to me today. Most important question for clerical errors, all caps. So it's important. Why do Lutherans try to sound papist or Baptist, Anglican, in using a fake and gay way to pronounce schism? It's off-putting and disgusting. I think they mean the word schism or schism. So when people say schism, they don't like that.
I say schism. I don't know.
So
I didn't know it was a thing.
I
guess
say
it's
division. I get scared.
There we go.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Next question.
All right. Next question.
When will Pastor Chris Christian weigh in on the state of the Synod?
Oh.
Okay. Next question.
Okay.
Arcola whiskey has been mentioned / praised several times. When will Pastor Chris Christian weigh in on how all booze is bad?
Boy.
Final
I'm trying to figure out
question.
who all these questions are from.
As we recognize that as Lutherans, we are the visible expression of the church on earth. Why don't most Lutherans talk to their neighbors about the faith? Why don't we as Lutherans exercise in-group preference for helping other Lutherans?
Wow. A lot of great questions. And I'm running out of energy.
Well, as for Pastor Chris Christian, I don't think that he's actually part of the LCMS. So
Right.
I don't think he'd have really much of an opinion on what's going on at Synod right now.
He's
you know?
schismatic.
And I know
Say that wrong, Kurt?
he's really into just Jesus and football. So I bet he probably drinks beer when he's...
Well, I didn't realize that anybody actually missed Chris Christian. So I'll have to get him on the phone.
So there we go.
And if you don't want to see Chris Christian, Vicar, where can they get a hold of us?
Where can they get a hold of us?
Let me look it up.
I knew it'd be on his phone.
You better not edit this at all. You can email us at feedback@clericalerrors.org. We have a Facebook page, facebook.com/clericalerrorspodcast. We have an X at clericalerrors. P for podcast. And we have a Patreon, patreon.com/clericalerrorspodcast. There you go.
All right. Final words.
So, Vicar, best Disney movie.
The best Disney movie?
Yep.
Hunchback of Notre Dame, probably. Like if
I like that one too. Good work.
Put a gun to my head. Music's good.
I like The Black Cauldron from 1985.
That's a good one. That one's pretty.
But, that's kind of cult.
Oh, that
that's
one's
kind
a
of
little
niche.
heavy.
It's a little heavy.
It's got that nice 1980s,
Mary Poppins.
dark fantasy.
Yeah.
Mary Poppins. Is that Disney?
All right. Final thoughts, Vicar.
So what are your final thoughts?
Stay Lutheran. I don't know.
All right.
Are you going to send us some updates once you're gone?
I can email you every now and then. I can create a fake email address that I can create 20 fake email addresses that sound like they're from different people and send you questions.
Nice.
Sure.
Nice.
I like the way you think.
Brand.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us where you land so that way we can all make a pilgrimage there and then record, and then you can feed us simple food.
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you for listening. This is Bullhagen.
This is Berg.
This is Vicar.
And may your food
be simple.
Thank you for joining us. This podcast is available on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcasts. Questions, thoughts, concerns? You can contact us on Facebook at facebook.com/clericalerrorspodcast, on Twitter at clericalerrorsp for podcast, or email us at feedback@clericalerrors.org. Thanks for listening to Clerical Errors. See you next time.